From Cali to Tally, it's time to wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source, and this is Wake Up War Chant. Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hudjavandi and Corey Clark.
Wake up! Wake up! What's up, everybody? Wednesday edition of the program. Corey's here. I'm here. Don't forget, tomorrow will be the Renegade Express. We'll take all your questions, or most of them, as many we can get to. Leave your questions over on the Tribal Council on warchant.com. If you're not a member, leave the promo code WarChant30, or use it, rather, the promo code WarChant30. Use that so that you can leave questions for us. And then we'll do a phone call Friday. Give us a call, 850-792-5730. That's 850-792-5730. With that said, let's let the other guy talk. Corey, what up?
What's up, man? How are you doing?
Good. Just trying to figure out what we're going to talk about today. It's the Miami week. There should be no shortage of topics. But the topics that we have discussed, I think, apply today as they did as much yesterday and the week before. So why sit here and continue to harp and, I don't know, nick pits at it or pick nits?
Pick nits, yeah. So, but you were at interviews on Tuesday morning with the offensive personnel.
Interview.
What did you? Anything you deciphered, determined?
Oh,
from that 15 minutes of interview time? You're
asking me the things I would always ask you. I only was in the pocket for Walt Bell. A little bit of side note for people. DeAndre Francois brushed off the media. He was a little bit later than usual, and I think he walked by and said he didn't want to be late to practice, so he walked by. The sports information fella kind of followed up with him and then came back and told everybody. He'll talk to you guys tomorrow, so we should talk to DeAndre probably later today. I don't find any problem with him, just kind of letting you guys know in case you were wondering maybe why you didn't hear from your starting quarterback. Nothing big. He just, I think, was running a little bit behind schedule and, didn't want to fall further behind schedule. So he went out there and got ready to practice. I spoke to Coach Walt Bell, offensive coordinator Walt Bell. You wrote the story that ran for the better half of the morning hour and the early afternoon on warchant.com, basically just him kind of emphasizing, walking the company line that, yeah, man, you might want us to throw the ball, but guess what? We're not going to do it. We want to run the ball. We believe in running the ball. If we don't get this thing fixed now and just kind of run away from it, we'll never get it fixed, and then we'll never be a good football program. So we're going to run the ball. Deal with it. That's what I got.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I agree with the premise. I agree with the sentiment for this football team and trying to move the ball against the defenses they have coming up. I don't know that this is going to be a great idea to just run and run and run. And they're not doing that. They do have RPOs that they call that I think the quarterback maybe misreads some and a lot maybe. I don't know. I'm not in the film room. I don't know what the right decision he was supposed to make in certain spots was, but I do think a lot of those are RPOs where he chooses the R and not the P. And maybe he should flip that a little bit. But, they're not going to run. They're averaging less than 3 yards a carry, and they played the worst defenses they're going to play all season, except for Wake. All the other defenses are better than the defenses they played already. So that you can't imagine that number is going to skyrocket to 4 yards a carry. So anyway, it is what it is. I do think that they have some stuff to build on throwing the ball, but, they're not going to be great as long as this offensive line is what it is, yada, yada, yada. I thought the more interesting part, to me personally, was when you asked him about the trick play.
Okay.
Because it didn't seem like that was his idea, and it didn't seem like, he certainly didn't say anything. Of course it wasn't his idea. He doesn't call the plays. But he didn't seem to be a huge fan of it either. And I think we can all agree with that. Maybe the play, whether you like the design or not, it was the time and place maybe that worried me about that play call. Those two play calls back to back, really.
Jeff Cameron said as much off camera when we were doing the War Chant report. It wasn't off record, though, but he kind of mentioned the same thing. He's fine with those plays. He just doesn't like necessarily, maybe do that in the second quarter, not necessarily in the fourth quarter when things are starting to kind of really come down to get busy.
Well, and also you've just driven the ball 2 times. Like I think you scored 2 touchdowns. You scored touchdowns on your last 2 drives. No need to get tricky like that. Just seemed like an odd time for it, and a really odd time to do that. A little desperate when you didn't have to be desperate. But they won the game, so who cares? Maybe they'll have 40 trick plays in this game coming up Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't think I was trying to get him into trouble. I was just curious about like who designed it, because I thought it was it obviously didn't work out as intended, and he kind of even said as much, obviously. I think he said that they ran it into a bad look, which, again, he's not calling the plays, so that kind of makes you think that's his diplomatic way of saying, well, that wasn't, I don't think it was the right time to do it at that point. But I guess the defense wasn't in the right look to run that trick play. But, again, the one that at least the one that I'm referring to when I say trick play was, I think it was the second one, right, when Nooney actually ate it instead of flipping it back to DeAndre and then having DeAndre hit a wide open Tamorrion Terry downfield, because that's what, Walt Bell was saying as much. But, yeah, he just said it simply. That's a thing that Willie wants every week, or trick plays. He's going to keep giving them some, and then they'll figure it out. But I would assume that was Walt's design, but he did say everything's a partnership, man. It's like any good relationship. It's like any good thing you have with your lady friend or your man friend. It's equal parts, so we'll see. I don't know. I don't think they'll be able to run a bunch of those against Miami. I feel like Miami's got a pretty aggressive defense, but perhaps you can use that aggression to your strength, to your advantage, and make them look silly. I don't know. Well, check it out, Corey. I don't know. After doing War Chant report, and now you folks will obviously see it on the internet, on warchant.com and over on YouTube. I don't know. Maybe I feel like, surprisingly, maybe I am the most optimistic out of the entire bunch. I just I don't feel terribly bad about this game. I don't feel overly optimistic. I just feel like as long as Florida State's not their own worst enemy, as long as they don't turn the ball over, I feel like they've got a great shot. I thought they would have a really good shot to win the game as long as they don't turn the ball over, because Miami, I mean, they're breaking in a new quarterback, and yeah, he played well against North Carolina, but he was also spotted 21 defensive points. So I feel like if Florida State can just take care of the ball, and I think Ira said it, and I'm kind of co-opting a little bit from him, keep it close, get in the fourth quarter, because this team has shown an ability, Florida State that is, to grind down and be able to win close games. So as long as they don't let this game get away from them quickly, they should be in a good position to be able to win it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the kid from Miami completed 10 passes in that game against North Carolina. He wasn't asked to do much of anything because the defense kept scoring. And North Carolina is awful. It's trash. That's a really bad football team. So this will be an uptick for him in competition for sure. But I wonder is, he has to be a better quarterback than the kid at Louisville, and he's going to hit some of those throws. Yeah. And now, in fairness, the Louisville kid hit throws in the first half. He made some incredible throws on third down in the face of pressure. I wonder how this kid's going to deal with the pressure, because it's going to be coming. We've watched enough Harlan Barnett now to know that he's going to dial up blitzes from everywhere. And unlike the guy the last 3 or 4 years, his get home. I mean, not so much home as they're racking up a ton of sacks, but they're hitting the quarterback and affecting the quarterback. And that's what I wonder is, but you got to give to get. So you're giving, what you're giving up with getting that pressure is you're giving up coverage ability. And quite frankly, your secondary hasn't shown a great job of being able to play man coverage or to play zone for that. I don't know what they're doing with guys who are running free down the middle of the field. Those seem like busts or breakdowns, or maybe it's just guys getting beat. I don't know. But that's a lot. And if you're bringing 6 or 7 guys, Miami's going to take shots in the middle of the field, and they're going to hit some big plays. What you have to hope is that pressure and that constant pressure and blitz and being in his face and stopping the run, which is a big deal, and making them having to throw the ball and be predictable. You also get some strip sacks and some turnovers, some interceptions, and maybe you can find a way to recover a fumble. You don't have to recover all of them. Heaven knows you ain't going to do that. But just recover 1 or 2 of them maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I just
But
feel
I disagree. I don't think they have a good shot at winning this game. I think obviously their best chance is to be a close game in the fourth quarter, and maybe Miami feels the pressure because since they haven't beaten Florida State down there since you were in middle school. So it's been a long time since I had hair. That's legitimate too. I think I had hair the last time, like a full bushel, a mane of hair. Back the last time Miami beat Florida State down there. So maybe they start feeling the pressure of that. But, I don't see this offense, if it's going to continue to try to establish the run, which I get, fine. But they don't move the ball running the ball. Yeah. They just don't. And so if you're going to keep setting up 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, this team is terrible on 3rd down. It's one of the worst in the country. And one of the reasons for that is because they never do anything in the running game. They very rarely have 3rd and 2. It's always 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 11 because they're losing yards. And, so if they're going to continue to play this kind of offense, which I understand what they're doing, again, it doesn't bode well against a defensive front like this. And you don't like your chances when you're always in 3rd and long.
Yeah. Sometimes I think I read somewhere that some sort of one of those anonymous survey coaching things where people said sometimes they think Manny Diaz is a little too smart for his own good. So maybe he'll try to almost, he'll out-scheme his players and freeze them up and give maybe Florida State some opportunities to actually make some plays. But on the defensive side of things, I think maybe, Bobby Petrino might have done a favor for Florida State just in the fact that he was able to make what amounted to good adjustments really in the second half because the plays were there. They just simply couldn't make it. I would hope, and I think Willie said as much on Monday that they either have to find out the defensive backs, and I would assume it's got to be zone. If they're blitzing like that and those guys are – because, I don't feel like we said Kyle Myers or Levante. I don't think, those guys got in any trouble on Saturday. They seem to have done a pretty good job holding their guys down. I'd figure the safeties were probably given more of a zone responsibility, but I don't know, and I don't want to be too much inside football on that sort of stuff. But I feel like ultimately Willie said, listen, we either have to coach them with the right technique or we need to find out what they don't like to do and stop doing it. So, he is receptive, obviously, to cleaning that up, and I think there's too much pride on the defensive side of the ball to let that continue to happen because they know. Listen, I'm sure they realize that pretty much every other drop back that Juwan Pass had in the fourth quarter, if he was a capable quarterback, those are touchdowns. Those are at least huge field position swinging plays, and they didn't get any of them, it seems like, in the fourth quarter. So just hang around. Just hang around close enough. I like our kicker, and I like our special teams.
What?
Not really.
You talking about Florida State?
I like our punt returner. As long as he gets the North Texas stuff out of him. Again, DJ, don't do it, man. It's a rivalry game.
That's how he got his 33-yard return was the North Texas stuff.
Well, he did it once. You can only use it once. He used it. Now you gotta be smart. This is the Miami game. There's gonna be a lot of violence. You gotta have your head on
What you need to do is tell your guys to get the heck out of the way if it's a short punt.
All right.
Go catch the ball too. That's always a good idea.
Hey, let's speak about violence, but not a negative, ghoulish violence. I'll talk more about that right after this. Let's wake up War Chant. Keep it here.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.
Don't even know who I am no more. Can't recognize my own face. I'd burn it all and just walk away for a moment of grace. I'm down,
All right, I just talked myself out of it, Corey. Not feeling as good anymore. Kind of happened.
About the game Saturday?
Yeah. It's crazy. Outside of, I probably should have, I wish they would put the depth chart back in these game notes they give us, but apparently we're not doing that anymore, so whatever. But, there used to be that Dalvin Cook guy, and he would just will this team against Miami. It was just not on my watch. Not today, Satan. We're winning. outside of Stanford Samuels, is there anybody of huge consequence that's from Broward-Dade County on this team? I mean, Stanford Samuels III, I feel like the only guy that's potentially in the starting 22, right? There's nobody on offense. I don't think so.
I feel like there's somebody we're probably forgetting, but no, I can't think of one right now. And no, Dalvin Cook's not walking through that door. So I don't know if that was necessarily such a – I mean, I think it had some to do with it where he was from, playing against his hometown team. But, Dalvin wasn't from Clemson, South Carolina, and he torched them every year too. So I think it was just Dalvin was really good, and Miami just felt the brunt of it like everybody else in the ACC did.
That's fair enough. Well, Amir Rasul, maybe this is when they deploy Amir Rasul finally.
Get him some touches, man. Let's go.
I did a cursory scan.
Touchdowns as Cam Akers.
Yeah, that's right. I just did a cursory scan of the roster, and yeah, I feel good about that statement. I feel like geographically he's the only guy that's like starting 22, or at least one of your big sort of playmakers on either side of the ball. That's a 305 guy or a 954 guy or a 561 or whatever they are down there. But anyhow, all right, back to violence. Everybody.
You think that's what happened to the Florida State program? Is Jimbo went from recruiting the Miami area so much to focusing on like IMG?
Are you baiting
and
me
Bradenton?
Right now?
And then that all of a sudden softened up the program.
Is that a trap? Is that facetiousness?
No, I was being facetious. But I mean, Miami is an area of the world that you definitely want to recruit. Yeah. And I know Emmett Rice is from there, and I'm sure there's plenty of other kids on the team from there.
Fred Jones.
But I think it is telling that there's only one kid that gets significant playing time, as far as we can tell, that's from that area, considering what it used to be a few years ago.
Fred Jones is probably another. That's your other guy. That's probably
there you go.
In terms of on the two deep. That's so. Maybe he'll. Maybe this is his last hurrah. Maybe he'll find something out there to. Asante Samuel. He's from down there as well. All right, there we go.
There we go. Now we're coming.
Okay, now I feel better. All right, let's go. Bring it on, Miami. Let's go. Come on. Let's go.
305 to 850 is coming for you. 305.
So practice. You missed a good spirited one, man. It was good and spirited. They started off with a knoll drill, which if you don't know by now, ask somebody. But I'll explain it to you because you're here. By the way, people want us to write summaries on the podcasts. It's not how it works, everybody. You got to listen to these. And I'm not trying to keep you here. We don't get paid by the second or the minute that you listen to, but it's just that's the way podcasts work. Nobody sits and writes a synopsis on a podcast. You just got to tune in. Relax. Just hit play and let us coast you through the day, man. That's how it works. But
that's what we do. That's what we want to do.
So practice, start off the knoll drill. Knoll drill, again, is a 3-level Oklahoma. There's a offensive lineman going up against either defensive end or defensive tackle or a D lineman. And let me just make it in an economy of words. Then you have usually a tight end on a linebacker and then a defensive back on a wide receiver. And Brady Scott and Walvensky Ame, had a rep, and I think Wally maybe went a little too low, a little too soon, and Brady Scott just kind of leaned on him and belly flopped on top of him. It was a little bit weird. They got up, they were a little bit chippy, and I'm like, ooh, I'm going to keep my eye on that. Then meanwhile, I go to the other field, and Nasir, the ghost Upshur, because apparently we're not going to see him on the field when it matters. Maybe I'll ask Willie about that on Thursday. I'll try to, everybody. We have a limited things that we can ask, and I hate asking about personnel stuff because he doesn't ever seem comfortable talking about it, but hey, he makes $5 million. I can make him a little bit uncomfortable. Anyhow, so Nasir Upshur and that jacked young man, I think he's from FAMU. I think he walked on, Demetrius Artis. Just the guy's got triceps the size of, I don't know, just the average male torso. They start mixing it up, and they're getting up and they're jawing it. I'm like, I'm going to keep my eye on that. So then I go back over here, and then sure enough, Brady Scott and Ame are lined up once again. And Brady Scott grew up a little bit there. He grew up a little bit in that rep. He dominated Walvensky, and then Walvensky wasn't going to go down without a fight. Bad pun intended. So they start mixing it up. Man. They're getting each other's face, smacking one another, chirping. Offense is all on top of Brady Scott because he won the rep. Defense is rallying around Ame because they know that they lost rep, but they're not going to get punked out because that's not what they do at Florida State. And then Nasir and the artist guy literally start squaring up on the next rep. And Artis has got to work on the overhand right. He kind of came a little bit floppy with it. And Nasir, meanwhile, was squared up like he was Joe Frazier. So I don't know.
Hey, he's from Philly. He's from Philly, like Joe Frazier. So they know what they're doing up there.
See what I did there? What are your thoughts on that, Corey? These things. There was a lot of talking as well when I was watching the defensive backs. Levante Taylor was talking about, man, this is a rivalry week, yo. We play for keeps around here. That's what we do. And one of the GAs or quality control guys was just like, you think this blank ain't serious? Ask the old guys. You think this blank ain't real? Ask the old guys. He was saying the S word. So I've for whatever you want to say about the Knoll drill and what it tries to accomplish and what fighting at practice does, I haven't been particularly with the defensive side of the ball a lot since the season, since probably week 1. But that was the most I've heard, like, jawing buzz, a team feeling the urgency of what's ahead. Like, do those things matter to you? I mean, it's rivalry week. This is what you need, right? These are the sort of things that help even out the odds when you're going up against perhaps a more talented or better equipped football team.
I don't know. I do think they need to get ready to hear a lot of noise because it's coming. I mean, Miami's not going to stop talking at all. They're trying to ship this rivalry back down there. They escaped with one last year, and they're going to let them know about it. And they expect – I can promise you those Miami kids expect to win this game by 3 or 4 touchdowns. And so they're going to be parking all night.
Stop that, Corey. How do you know that? What are you're talking to your contacts down in Miami at their practice? Come on.
Man. They watched Florida State. Who wouldn't? Those Miami kids think they're a really good football team that just played one bad game. Yeah. They put on the film and go, all right, we're gonna trash these guys. I mean, the spread's 14 or whatever it is. It's double digits, so it's not like I'm outlandish saying they're going to win by 3. That they think they can win by 3 or 4 touchdowns. Heck, maybe Florida State thinks they're going to do that too. I would doubt it. But anyway, the point being, they're going to be in Florida State's face all night, and there's a lot of these players on Florida State's team that haven't really been in the mix of something like this yet. They haven't really experienced something like this. I don't think a Tuesday shoving match or, slapping somebody's helmet does anything really to prepare them for Saturday and what's coming. Maybe it gets their juices flowing a little bit for a practice, and maybe they're talking, the energy's amped up a little bit because it's Miami week. But this is going to sound like a cliche, and it's going to sound like I'm a coach, I get it.
Don't do it.
It should be like that every week. It should be like that. You shouldn't be in a fever pitch for 1 week, and then because all that means is that next week you're going to be you rise and fall your energy level depending on the opponent. That's not what good programs do. And now what I'm saying is I think that can be the case here this year with Florida State because Florida State's not a good program. These kids don't know how to win. Really, the culture isn't one of a great program. They've got to build that. So if this was like a welcome to Miami week, we're going to be getting after it and smacking people around. I hope that's not just specific for the Miami week. They need to be talking like that all the time. That 2013 team, man, they never stopped talking on the practice field. None of them. They all, you had Jameis, obviously, who would talk a ton. You had Wilder. You had Rashad, and you had Freeman. Now, Rashad would talk, and so would Freeman. And then on the other side, you had all the guys we know about. And it was nonstop, all practice. Well, I don't know that it's this way with the Florida State team.
Well, they're
but,
growing. They're growing, Corey.
What?
They're not puppies anymore. They're growing up, man. Come on. You were in Louisville. You saw that. You saw them rise up, man. Come on.
I saw some fight. I'm not putting, I guess the question is I'm not putting stock into one Tuesday morning when there happen to be a couple fights back to back. I don't know that that's like signifies, hey, it's Miami week. They're ready. They're ready for this thing. And I don't think you can simulate. I don't put much stock into it. Let me put it that way. I can't articulate my thoughts on it real well right now.
All right.
It's been a long week already, folks, and it's only Wednesday. But I do think that I'm really interested to see how they handle this Saturday night. I think it'll say a lot. We'll learn a lot about a lot of these players by how they handle Saturday night, win or lose, how they fight, how they hit, how they tackle, all that stuff, how they handle the emotion. I think you'll learn a lot about these players because, quite frankly, like I said, we haven't seen them most of these guys haven't done anything of note in a rivalry game. So I'm interested to see what they do, what they do and how they handle it.
I mean, but they were down 21-7 against Louisville. I mean, they could have easily, the season could have gotten away from them, and the fact they didn't let it get away from them, I think is, not only did they fight back, but they fought back and they won the game. So I feel like there has to be some sort of carryover that, at least they know they can't give in. If there was ever the little voice in their head that told them, it's okay, man, just let it go. This one's over. You just hope that's no longer there. That voice is now completely muted out.
Well, and I want to see what I always want to see. A thing, and I've said this before on this show and on headlines before. What I didn't really understand until I started covering Florida State college athletics in general in 2007. It was mostly high school before that. What I really didn't understand is how big a deal competitiveness is. And that says, they all want to win. But there are dudes that are just straight up competitors. And there are other dudes who are not. And I played sports growing up, and we all did. And we know who those guys were. They were good players. They were fine players, but they never answered the bell in the moment. They would always wilt when things went poorly. They would always, if they're losing by 18 points in the third quarter of a basketball game, just stop trying and stop guarding and acting like they didn't want to be there. And there are other guys that, rally up and play harder and play, stronger and all that stuff. And that's what I want to see. I'm not going into that game Saturday thinking Florida State's going to win. I'm just not. I don't think they're equipped offensively to move the ball against that team. And they're not going to hold Miami to 10 points. So I just don't see a great path for them to win that game unless they break out that backpack 4 or 5 times. And sweet mercy, would that be great to see? That backpack just flinging over everybody's head, going from one kid to another. Everybody in the secondary gets to wear it once. Or pull out the spear and throw that in the ground, whatever they want to do this week because it's Miami week. But unless that happens, I don't see a clear path for them to win. But I can see I want to see the competitiveness and the fight and who wilts, who gives in, and who plays and who makes plays. That's the stuff you build on. That's what you build a program on. Whether they lose by 3 touchdowns or 3 points or whether they win the game. That's where these games are the ones where you see who kind of rises up. Does that make sense? I mean, I think
so
how they answer the challenge in Miami against a team that is going to be incredibly confident, how you answer the bell, and if you can stay and fight and show something, show some what for, something to build on. A loss can be a loss is a loss. Florida State isn't about moral victories, but you want to see the kids that can fight, the kids that you can depend on for the rest of this season and for next year.
That was the most depressing 5 minutes of Wake Up War Chant history, I think, and it's nothing personal, Corey.
I get it, man. I get it because I'm basically saying I don't think they can win.
I mean, Willie's trying to change a culture, but I feel like if we're at this point where we're trying to go down to the most molecular level of this team and focus on them being competitors and fighting and showing the will, I almost feel like you're buying into the fact that, I mean, I get you inherit a house and it has termite problems. You can't be like, all right, I have a great house. All I need to do is put a piece of plyboard over this big chunk that's missing out of the frame of my house. I guess I have to maybe rebuild part of it. I don't know. I just feel like if we're this down, I don't want to blame Willie for that stuff because that's what he inherited. But dang, don't you have the option of being like, no, I don't care what it was like. I don't care how you felt. I don't care, the way you fought or what went through your mind when adversity hits. This is what we do now. And I know that stuff doesn't take shape overnight, but dang, I just feel like we're giving them way too much room to. We're just treating them like they're, this is our first year playing FBS football. We just moved up from the Southland Conference or something, and now we're just playing football. I'm just gonna go out there and see if we got the right kind of kids. See if we got the right kind of kids that we can identify and build on something, and eventually build this program into what we want it to be. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, it is crazy, but that's where we are. You're not. I can't imagine a scenario where unless you have the backpack situation, where you average less than 3 yards to carry against Miami and win the game. I just can't imagine it.
Well, don't average
unless something incredible changes. How are they going to run the ball against Miami? How are they going to do it? So
maybe
3rd and 9, 3rd and 11, I don't see that equating to a lot of points because they scored. I thought the offensive line did okay all game on Saturday, and I thought they actually ran the ball pretty well in Louisville in the first quarter and a half. They still had 7 points at half, man. It's just not a juggernaut, and hopefully they can build on what they did in the second half against Louisville. If they can put 24 or 28 on the board, they do have a chance to win this game. But do you think that's going to happen?
24, 20.
So,
that's a big number for Florida State, which hurts my soul. I mean, against that team, that's a pretty good defense. I don't know. I mean, maybe finally these things start opening up, and maybe Willie isn't selling us, junk bonds. Maybe this running game is close to finally hitting a crease and busting through it. Maybe the running game can finally get something going. Because they're averaging 2.8 yards a carry or something ridiculous, maybe a little bit more than that. Listen, man, Cam has just got, maybe if Cam just can hit 2 runs a quarter, or Jacques can come in and hit maybe 1 run in a quarter, maybe that's enough just to sustain drives. And I know this is crazy talking about this with a guy that came here talking about we're not going to huddle anymore. Maybe it just becomes a really slow plodding game, the kind of game that everybody hated around here last year. But eventually you get the ball last, and maybe you can sneak something by them. I don't think this Miami team is necessarily a juggernaut either.
Oh no, I don't want it to sound like I think Miami is great. I don't. I think they're a pretty good team. I think they're a top 15, top 20 caliber team. Until I see this team play in an environment like this, this particular 2018 team, these players playing in, because it's going to be a loud one. It's going to be much worse than Syracuse. If they can play until I see them play well in an atmosphere, in an environment like this, I'm not going to believe that they're going to do it. So I want to see it. They can. I want to see them go make plays. The officials, when you're in, as we saw in Louisville, when you're on the road, officials very rarely are going to give you the blatant hold coming across the middle when your receiver should be breaking free and the guy's just grabbing them. That stuff doesn't get called a lot on the road. How are you going to handle that? Are you going to just shove the dude off you and go make a play? How are you going to handle getting down by multiple scores? Are you going to be able to come back like you did against Louisville? All that stuff is stuff I'm looking for, man. Again, not much change with my perception of this football team with the win over Louisville. I do see how it opened up a path for the bowl to get to a bowl, but I still think the losses on the schedule are still going to be the losses. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. It's fun to cover a winning team. It's always fun to go watch Miami lose in Miami, and I've been doing that since I had hair. So Losers. I'm hoping that happens, but I'm not expecting it to happen. What I do want to see is another step, another growth, in another step in the right direction. Because we've had 2 weeks in a row now where that's happened. And I know at Florida State there shouldn't be moral victories. But, man, last year these same players were 3-6. There have to be moral victories. You have to start somewhere. Show and fight is a good place to start. On the road against a team that wants to destroy you, against a team that's trying to take over a rivalry. Show some pride and show some fight. And then you got something else to build on, win or lose. I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, Aslan. In my book, we're going to be winners.
Stop. Brady, don't listen to your father. He's drunk.
That was from Hoosiers. I was quoting Hoosiers.
I've never seen Hoosiers either. Come on, man. Get with it. You know you can't be quoting those.
Wait, no, that's not true.
It is true. Come on, man. I'm not a white guy, man. My dad didn't watch Hoosiers in Iran. Hey, son, let's sit down and watch Hoosiers. I watched this while the Shah was getting thrown out of the country. That kind of stuff didn't happen around the dinner table, Corey, okay? I had a neglected childhood. Deal with it.
That's crazy. You're now in your mid-30s. You've had umpteen years to watch Hoosiers, which is legitimately a really good movie.
They don't age well.
Now,
man.
yes, it's about. It did age well. I watched it with Brady last year. It aged pretty well. Whatever. The only thing that'll make you kind of cringe is there's a Gene Hackman romance storyline with Barbara Hershey, which is really, they kiss in the woods, and it's really off-putting. Okay. The whole thing is off-putting. They could have just gotten rid of that storyline completely. But old Jimmy Chitwood, man, you want to talk about a kid that would fight. Yeah. Holy moly, that kid, when the chips were down, that man just made play after play after play. Plus, the little kid makes the free throw. It's just good stuff, man. You need to watch that movie. Based on a true story, too.
There was 3 things I wanted to get to. like in quick succession or whatever, because we got to wrap things up here. I wanted to talk more about violence and my favorite Miami memory, but maybe we'll save that for tomorrow when we get Gene Williams on the program. But I think like we're almost framing this, and by we, I don't mean just you and I think most people who actually cover this program and have a good feel for what's going on, we're almost covering this kind of like fingers crossed, let's hope this doesn't devolve into what happened against Boston College last year. It's like that feeling of like inevitable doom almost. But I would think, and I know it's Willie's first season, but again, all that stuff that you tried to build, playing for love of one another, having each other's back, it's 6 weeks of it now just in the fall. Not just what you did in the spring, what you did at IMG, what you did before IMG, what you did after IMG in the summer. But now it's like 6 weeks. It's a few weeks of getting on that plane, going to a couple places. I feel like, and especially the way they were able to come back and beat Louisville, like I just feel like they won't let that stuff happen. And that goes back maybe to what you're talking about. You want to see the sort of fight. I think this is a fair time now to expect some sort of, I don't want to call it magic out of Willie, but let's start seeing some of the residue of what his elbow grease is trying to create in Tallahassee and Florida State. Like we're gonna play for each other. Like AJ Westbrook, like Stanford Sam, I'm not gonna let you down this game because I know how important this one is to you. DeMarcus Chris, like I'm not gonna let you down, Fred Jones. I know how important this game is to you. All the guys that play for Odell. I mean, I feel like if you're creating that sort of culture, this is a fair time to start seeing some of that cash in with the equity. Second thing, Miami sucked last year too, Corey. Yeah, this team, Florida State, was 3-6 last year, whatever. These same players. These same players are also a really ridiculous defensive call or two away from winning the game last year. So they shouldn't feel they're not at least able to hang with this team and maybe sneak one away from them. And then last thing is, how likely is it that at some point on the telecast they go to Sebastian the Ibis and he's like stomping or swinging around a backpack in a very taunting manner?
Now that would kind of be right on script right on point for the Ibis.
Yeah,
he's kind of the most talking mascot that there is. Like he revels in it. Yeah. That whole program does. It's just it's the way it is. That's fine. That's what they do. But yeah, he'll do something with a backpack. You have to imagine. Like maybe take a chain out of it or something. I don't know. Yeah. But they should do something to incorporate and make fun of it. Yeah, man, that's the thing is like last year's game, when you watch those two teams play, Florida State and Miami it was an even game.
Yeah.
Equally, it was an even game. It should have come down to a field goal to go to overtime. But a ridiculous defensive formation gave Miami the game. But it should have gone to overtime. Those were evenly matched teams. So you can hopefully those guys will have confidence going down there. But I just think, that was their third loss of the season. They still lost 3 more times on top of that. It snowballed. And it's still those same guys. I hope that's stopped. I really do think maybe the Louisville game halted that kind of trajectory that the program was on. When things get tough, they lose.
Yeah.
Because if you think about the games they won last year, they didn't really have to fight in any of them. Maybe the Wake game, they came back in the fourth quarter.
Wake and Duke, they had to hang on. Those were close goals. And then Louisville and Miami, but lost late.
The Duke game, they were. I think they led the whole time. Louisville, they had a chance. They found a way to lose it late, like they do. They couldn't get a stop when they needed a stop. And then Boston College, NC State, they couldn't get stops when they needed stops. All that stuff, man. It adds up. So hopefully the Louisville game was the game where they like, you know what? We can do this. We can believe in each other, and that'll carry over to that's not the Orange Bowl. What is it now? Hard Rock Stadium.
Hard Rock.
Maybe it'll carry over to Hard Rock Stadium.
Doak South.
Doak South. Yeah. I would be surprised if they won the game. I don't want to say that it'd be a stunner. I would be surprised. I just don't think it's a great matchup. But you know what? I've been wrong before, Aslan, as you can attest. And I hope I'm wrong again. It would be cool to see them go down there and build off last week. And imagine what that would do to the Miami fan base and maybe the program if they couldn't beat this Florida State team. The one that it's not the same team that played Samford, but the one that barely beat Samford, the one that got housed by Syracuse. If this team takes enough steps in 3 weeks from that Syracuse to go from barely scoring at all against Syracuse 3 weeks ago to winning in South Florida against a team that started out 11th in the country or whatever, man, that would be What an uplifting thing that would be for Florida State, and what a depressing realization that would be for Miami.
Tomorrow, we'll regale you with our stories about the Miami game. Corey will also walk back the fact that he said that he drove his drunk father home when he was 9 years old after a Miami game.
I hope people understood that was a joke. My dad didn't drive either. We had other people with us that drove. We Ubered.
Yeah.
We admitted Uber. No, it was we had multiple people there, multiple adults that not drove. We had multiple adults that could drive. Okay. My cousin, who was
I'm not judging
15 years older than me.
You all got home.
I didn't want anybody to really think that I was 9 years old and driving my drunk dad home.
Yeah.
He had made arrangements. But boy, was he drunk.
850,
good memory, though.
850-792-5730. Also give us a call and leave a voicemail. Yes or no question here, Corey. I've got a whole bunch of people tagged me on WarChant. I have not looked at the thread. I think the person I ranted against yesterday responded. Should I not? I'm not gonna. I really don't want to read it. But should I just go ahead and read it now live with you on the show, and then just go out on that, and we'll let that guy get the lesson, and we'll move on together with our lives? Or do you just want to go home?
How about I hang up and you read it out? I don't even have to hear it at all. And you read it out, and then we're just done with it.
Come on, you got to be here with me, man. You got to be here with me.
No. I get it, man. Hey, he has every right to criticize me. I hope he doesn't lump me in with you. I wasn't mad at him.
Yeah.
But no, I don't. I'm not a fan of that idea, because if he calls me a bald idiot and Brady's cursed for having me as a dad, I might feel the need to respond. That's not good for anyone. So I'd rather not hear it. But you feel free to read it. Give him the last word. He deserves it after that attack, that unsolicited, essentially, attack on his character yesterday.
Aslan, man.
No. I'm logging off.
Are you logging off?
I love you. I love America.
All right. Bye, Corey.
Bye, buddy.
All right. It says Aslan, man, I feel bad that I was over the top on my comments. I really do love your show. My 15-year-old son and I listen to you and Corey every morning, and we love you guys. Yes, we can hug it out if we do see each other. All right, that's good. I still feel WT, that would be Willie Taggart, is right to stick with the running game, but you guys are entitled to your opinion. I will concede that, whatever. It's all good. We're good. All right, we're all friends again. That's awesome. Fantastic. Sorry about that, JB. I have too fragile of an ego, clearly. We'll come back tomorrow. We'll be strong. We're Knowles. It's what we do. Thanks for listening, everybody. For Corey, I'm Aslan. You've been listening to Wake Up WarChant.
The Sod Cemetery, Osceola and Renegade, and of course, the War Chant. These are great traditions known to all Seminole fans. If you are a card-carrying, garnet and gold-wearing Knoll, don't you deserve a site that is truly dedicated to covering FSU sports? WarChant.com's staff has over 50 years of experience covering the Seminoles. WarChant.com is the only FSU outlet with a full-time recruiting analyst in Tallahassee. Plus, it's the only site with a full-time videographer and a daily podcast, 100% dedicated to FSU sports. Why act like Gators and settle for second best? WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.